Yeah, you ready, Craig Bot?
Yeah, you ready, Craig Bot? All right. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids podcast, episode 159. Oh,
159.
there you go, crickets. And we are back. So for those who were live on Twitch, you guys saw us make a mistake live, but that's okay. All right. And so we are back for another wonderful day of content. We have quite a big boy agenda here, I would say. And a lot of stuff to go through, including one very large topic that I've really been looking forward to having a conversation with my buddy here. So before we get started, how's your week's been, Gabe?
Good, man. This damn sun's been kind of baiting on me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the sun, man. It's kicking everybody's ass right now. It's pretty
bright.
It's not even just that. It's not even just the sun, the getting of the sun. It's the fact that it came with like rain. You know what I mean? So like it was raining, and then it got really fucking brutally hot, and then just the humidity was just nasty.
Gotcha.
Just got that overhead combo going, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. So like I said, we have a little bit of a big boy agenda, so let's go ahead and get to it. So apparently with everything going on with the DC universe and whatnot, apparently they're going to be doing Flashpoint and bringing back Michael Keaton, returning as Batman. So obviously he's not going to be like a modern day Batman. It's going to be old man Bats. And I think it's kind of interesting. What do you think about this?
I think somebody like Michael Keaton, who's one of the OG film Batmans, right, returning to DC in general, I think I'm just super excited for it. But it's interesting to see how he's going to, I guess, kind of adapt and change to different roles, right?
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was kind of something that was interesting. It's something that has been speculated for a while, but I guess Keaton had officially agreed that he's going to be signing on and like playing like an old man Bats. So again, I don't know exactly where this falls. I don't know if it's a TV show or if they're doing a movie with it, with the whole Flashpoint thing, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. And Michael Keaton returning as the Bat, quite interesting, super cool, and it is what it is. Let's keep moving. So Cyberpunk 2077 is going to get its own anime on Netflix. So obviously this is the video game, right? That's going to be coming out, one of the more anticipated games coming out soon enough, right? And they're going to be doing an anime on Netflix. And I know you have opinions about the Netflix animes. What do you think?
It really depends which studio is kind of spearheading the project, but overall, I think Netflix does a pretty solid job of adapting these things.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to see how much interest it sort of garners and stuff like that, because it's easy to crank out something and have nothing behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm kind of curious where this kind of falls in line with the story and like the IRL time frame. Like, does this come out before the game to hype people up? Does this come out after the game to give them something to chew over? I guess we'll have to find out and see. But I actually did not know about this topic, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, man. I think it's kind of interesting because, like you said, we don't really have any like preset expectations, because it's a new IP. We haven't really been in the world yet. We haven't had the chance to get invested in it yet. So I think this is kind of a good opportunity to kind of get people familiar with it, because like when it came to stuff like, like Castlevania, people know that lore up and down, you know what I mean? And, with this, it's a new thing. So they can kind of do with it whatever they want. And I think that's pretty exciting for those folks over there. So definitely very cool. And, speaking of which, or speaking of things that I'm excited about, apparently Scream 5, man. Scream 5 apparently got greenlit. I know that, when Craven was still alive, that he wasn't really wanting a new Scream movie to come out. I think he was quite disappointed with the last one that turned out. I liked 4. I don't know what your opinion is. Have you seen 4, Gabe?
I have seen 4. Is that okay?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think it went really hard on trying to go too meta, which I think is kind of funny because Scream as a franchise is like very known for that kind of that referential meta kind of
fourth wall breakage.
Yeah, fourth wall breaking kind of a thing. So I think it maybe leaned a little too hard on that. But I wonder what's going on with this. I wonder if Neve Campbell and what's his fucking name, David Arquette, are going to be making a return. But I'm all for it, man. I think Scream is due, and I think they have an opportunity to really make fun of some of the more recent horror, niches and cliches and whatnot. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what they're going to do.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Scream 5. Do we have a time frame on that?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. It's kind of hard, right, with everything going on. Obviously, to kind of get.
Yeah, who knows if we'll ever get
Yeah.
movies back.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get a time frame going on that, but hopefully it'll be out soon, man. Because I saw that they pushed back Godzilla versus Kong, and that upset me. They were supposed to come out in November, but they pushed it to May of next year, so I'm kind of bummed out about it. I'm not gonna lie, but I guess we'll have to find out. We have to wait and see what their plans with that are moving forward. But yeah, I think it should be cool. Scream making a return to the big screens. Hopefully, if the big screens ever open up ever again, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. That would be actually a pretty cool movie to see in like a drive-through kind of setting.
Yeah, it's got that kind of old-timey 70s, 80s feel to it, even though that's not the setting for most of them.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just think it just horror in general, I think lends itself well to the drive-through kind of vibe,
I think maybe you've just been watching too many horror movies with drive-in theaters.
You think so?
Yeah, so? Maybe it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy,
I guess what?
Maybe the coronavirus was perpetuated by Hollywood horror directors to bring back drive-in theaters and then bring back the Hollywood slasher himself, right?
Hey, write that down, bro. Write that down.
Somebody write that down.
Yeah, so very, very cool. Next up, Margot Robbie. Apparently, I haven't heard anything about this. It sprang up on my newsfeed. I didn't even know they were in talks with her about it. But apparently, she's going to be getting her own, I guess, reboot of Pirates of the Caribbean. Margot Robbie will be starring and executive producing a new Pirates of the Caribbean film, apparently completely unrelated to Jack Sparrow and all his crazy adventures. I don't know if it's going to be going on like a parallel timeline or if it's just going to be like a real reboot of the whole entire situation. So, Margot Robbie, you and I are quite big fans. What's your opinion?
Well, love her as an actress, but has she been in a Pirates movie previously? Negative. Okay. I think she has the personality for it, and I like Margot because she always adds sprinkles here and there to her roles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you really see, Margot shine through as opposed to just the character she's playing, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think she can rock it. I'm quite enjoying her kind of stardom that she's getting at the moment. Obviously, with the Harley Quinn or whatever the fuck the end movie or the end title of the movie was, and stuff like that. But yeah, dude, I'm totally in support of it. I'm just kind of curious to see if this will be another one of those things where it's like, oh, it's woman led, blah blah blah, which totally fine. But like at the end of the day, it has to be a good movie for it to sell.
Yeah, that was my concern too, but I didn't hear anything about it being female led other than the fact it was led by a female. Ooh, we got a subscriber of some sort. Hold on. Sorry. Mr. Beast Mode. Wow, okay. I got a sub live on the podcast. Thanks, awesome. Guys. Excellent. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. I wonder what Margot's going to bring to it because like I said, it's going a little bit just beyond her being an actress in it. She's going to be running the show. And I have a feeling, based on what I've seen in her capabilities thus far, she is not a lazy story person. She cares about story. And I think she could give this thing some love. I think it's honestly what it needs right now is some love. So I think it'll be cool. And I wonder if it's going to tie into Disney at all. I don't know. I think it would have to, right? You would think?
It can, maybe not necessarily. We'll see.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll do a lot of promo material, shirts, posters, toys.
For
I'm
sure.
It'll sell.
Absolutely. Well, say what people could say what they want about the Pirates movies. I'll say there's more of them that I probably dislike than the ones that I do like, but they all sell well. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Alrighty. Next up. Probably one of the most classic, iconic duos in the history of media. Beavis and Butthead are getting a return, I guess, to MTV. I guess they're getting their TV show back. And Beavis and Butthead, kind of a underrated commodity when it comes to alternative music. Bringing alternative music to like the limelight. People things that people don't normally listen to. They are bringing it to the forefront, and they are bringing it back. Beavis and Butthead Doing America is one of the most underrated movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says. And it's wonderful. I'm excited. What is your experience with Beavis and Butthead? Do you like Doing America? Have you seen it even?
Yeah, I like Doing America. I think it's quite all right. I kind of liked it more for the commentary aspect as opposed to like introducing the new music. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I'm kind of curious to see where this goes because this is the age of very easily discovered new music. So I'm kind of curious what they would propagate to the forefront of the MTV music scene, which, is it really even music anymore?
No, it's really not. No, definitely
But
not.
I'm curious to see, because they brought back Headbangers Ball, and it lasted all of like 4 or 5 episodes before they canceled it again,
True.
So some things just work better in their own timelines and their own like cultural zeitgeist and shit like that. But I don't know. I want to be hopeful, but maybe the teens of today just are not ready for Beavis and Butthead.
I mean, the thing about Beavis and Butthead, that it was kind of like a musical version of like Science Fiction Theater 3000, where like you said, it's more about them kind of laughing at what's on the TV than as opposed to like us actually getting to absorb whatever they're actually showing. You know what I mean? It's more about them making jokes about it. And, I think, I don't know if it's just me, but I think TV is not the best platform for this. I think actually if MTV wanted to kind of really, what's the word I'm looking for? Take advantage of like how the world has changed. This should be like a YouTube series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Because like you and I both know that like the reaction aspect of like the YouTube has like
Beavis and Butthead React.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead React, exactly, and they'll be able to react to whatever the fuck. And I would honestly, outside of metal, I would love to see them react to some shitty rap videos. You know what I mean? And be like, "What the fuck is this?" You know what I mean? And kind of do it uncensored. Even I think that'd be kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I would recommend. I mean, granted, I don't have any money, so I don't have any power, but I think it'd be kind of cool to check it out.
Yeah, boy.
So there's that. All right, and that is movies, TV, and books for today. Now, let's go ahead and get starting into gaming today. Gaming kind of a bigger deal, especially for me this week. So let's go ahead and talk about some major things. Warner Gaming's division is being sold for parts, apparently. All right. Warner Games, I think Rocksteady is behind that. Also, another studio that we care deeply about, and that is Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm Studios. All right. And the current highest bidder, from what I'm hearing, the two highest bidders I'm hearing is Activision and EA.
All right. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Midway and then NetherRealm.
So apparently that is the rumor right now. Obviously, nothing has happened yet. It has been in the talks for the last couple of days, or last couple of weeks rather, that potentially Rocksteady, again, the Rocksteadies are the guys who did the Arkham games for Batman, that might be getting sold sooner rather than later. So potentially a shitty situation for one of our favorite gaming franchises.
Hey, on the bright side, you'll be able to get a weekly new skin pack for your favorite fighters.
This is true. Yeah, they'll sell it for $5 a skin, and maybe DLC characters, and we'll be able to pay $50 a week for the newest, latest, and greatest, And don't forget, they're probably sure they're going to put some kind of slot machine inside the,
Yeah, of course.
Can you spell slot machine with a K? Is there any way to put a K in there?
But wait, that's not it. If Activision buys it, of course there's going to be those Mortal Kombat Modern Warfare skin packs too, right?
Ooh,
so now you got to spend even more money.
Johnny Cage looks...
Johnny Cage operator lookalike.
Yeah, Johnny Cage looks like Price. They got him dressed up as Price or something like that.
Well, I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say they bring in Price to MK11.
Oh, okay. Now you're thinking. Yeah, so obviously this brings potentially ugly kind of repercussions as far as Mortal Kombat and some other major game companies, studios rather, and kind of worried a little bit. Like I said, we've talked about Activision and more so EA's lack of morality when it comes to taking advantage of their user base. But granted, Warner wasn't perfect either. You remember the whole when MK11 dropped, how ugly that was. So they're not perfect either, but I think it was going to go from bad to worse when it comes to, their handling of that. So, ugly. Any further thoughts on that?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I feel you. All right. So remember how you and I mentioned how Evo, the physical version, will be canceled, right?
Yes, of course.
Well, apparently the online version has been canceled as well. But not because of logistical reasons, but because of, I guess, the guy who runs the show for the Evo, believe his name is Tony or something. I like something or other. I don't want to give him his name, but apparently he has gotten into some scandal with pedophilia.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, so the dude runs the show over there, and everybody who was planning on, all the companies, all the developers who were going to bring their games to the table have all opted out in doing so. And apparently that individual has been released by the people who run Evo, and apparently next year they are going to be looking at some serious ways how to revamp and change up the current formatting so it looks a little bit less like what this guy created. So,
okay.
So major issues, major swing of the scenario over there at Evo. And I'm quite sad. I think the fighting game community, I think Evo is one of the purest events when it comes to the love of the content,
Absolutely.
Because, you have stuff like E3 and other bigger gaming conventions and things like that, where it's more about the press and more about the coverage and getting the inside scoop. While when it comes to Evo, the competition aspect of it and just the community at large, it's about the love of, the material. And I think the fighting game community got it on the teeth on this one. And I feel quite bad. What's your opinion?
Yeah, well, I have kind of been conversing that this thing already kind of needs a revamp in regards to how Evo is set up, running all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally for it, and it kind of sucks that this needs to be the catalyst for it.
Correct.
But,
yeah.
I mean, if Sonic Fox can whoop your ass in the comfort of his own loafers, then why the fuck not, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little sad. Because like I said, Evo, kind of the premier example of love from a community. Kind of sad that it played out the way that it did, but unfortunately, not much we can do about that. Let's keep it moving. Pokémon Snap making a return to the Switch. Are you going to get this game?
Probably not.
I figured, yeah. So Snap, Pokémon Snap. I'm sure you might remember how kind of awesome it was when we were kids, right? But I don't know how well that will translate into the current world because we kind of have Pokemon Go already, right? And that's kind of
and
like
people are still very heavily playing it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it didn't take. It's not a. It wasn't like the ender of world violence like it was when it first came out. Everybody was on that bandwagon, but yeah, people are still heavily invested into the Pokemon Go, and I wonder. I mean, I understand that Snap is like more of like a virtual world, but why do that when you can play Go, right?
Absolutely.
So I thought that was kind of
man, I didn't even finish the last fucking Pokemon game, and you're already talking about Gabe. You're gonna get the new one, man.
what was the most recent one you got?
I got Pokemon Shield.
How's that going so far?
Yeah, boy. Somebody get out the duster, because I don't know how to fucking play this game after 8 months of negligence.
Hey, man. It is what it is. But Snap, Pokemon Snap, kind of cute. Probably more of a gimmick than anything. It was a gimmick when I was on the N64 too, I guess, right? But
speaking about Snap, how about you roll on over and snap your skateboard up, because Skate 4.
Yeah, so Skate Forward finally got the green light. You and I talked about this so many times. That EA, for whatever reason, just refused to pull the trigger when it came to, the skate games. I don't know why. But, of course, naturally, with the announcement of the Tony Hawk Remastered and stuff like that. I think,
EA said, hold my fucking beer.
Yeah, EA said, wait a second, hold on. There's money to be made here. Well, EA, we're all about making money. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because they had their whole little press conference about it, right? And it was like, oh, yeah, like we just started development on Skate 4. And when they say just, I mean probably 2 hours before that they were told that they were going to have to film something talking about it. So it is very, very early in this process. And I thought that was kind of funny. So, yeah, man, Skate 4, I'm excited. I like the skate games. They're a different kind of look at skating games as a whole, a little bit more, I don't want to say realistic because in the end it's really not, but a little bit more of a realistic point of view, I guess, when it comes to skating. So I thought it was kind of cool, and I'm glad to see it back. Any opinion?
Hell yeah.
Gabe's overall opinion today is hell yeah. All right, Marvel's Avengers. Have you seen anything about this?
No, I haven't actually. What is this?
Crystal Dynamics, I think it's Crystal Dynamics, is working on a Marvel game, Avengers game. Apparently, is that Brainiac? No, that's not Brainiac. I'm sorry. That's the other guy. I forget his name, but apparently he's the main villain of the game, and you're playing from a perspective of like a new character. And eventually, like, I guess whoever was the main villain kind of brought the Avengers to their knees, and this new villain, or new character rather, will be like trying to bring them back and whatnot. So, I thought it was interesting. It looked cool. Crystal Dynamics knows how to make a good game. Obviously, at least they know how to make it look good. They're the people behind Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider redos, or reboots, I guess. And it was all good stuff. So Avengers, something to look forward to. All right. And it is all good stuff. So you ready to talk about this this next topic, Gabe?
Yeah, let's get into it because we got some words.
Yeah.
So why we do a podcast.
Correct. So The Last of Us Part 2 dropped, what is it, 2 weeks ago at this point? And yeah, I just want to talk about it. I actually wrote down stuff like a full review. I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna go through the whole thing, and then you and I will talk about it after the fact. All right. So if you want to stop me, please do. If not, let me get to the end of this. All right. So The Last of Us Part 2 is easily one of my most anticipated games of all time, and it's finally arrived, though it has returned with some controversy. The Last of Us Part 2 picks up 5 years after the events of the previous game, where we join Ellie, who has grown accustomed to colony life in Jackson. Early within the game, tragedy strikes, which leads Ellie on a quest for revenge that brings her to Seattle. While in Seattle, Ellie finds herself in the middle of a territory war between two groups, one called the WLF, Wolves, and the Seraphites, also known as Scars, who are a religious cult. This is where the game shines, where you play as Ellie in search of those who wronged her. The gameplay has stayed relatively unchanged from the previous game, but it comes with some slight upgrades. The ability to craft new items, as well as create a new skill tree system that helps you kind of play the game the way that you want. You can go balls to the wall with the gunplay, or you could be that sneaky silent assassin, which I definitely would recommend due to the number of people out there. It's totally up to you. It has come with additional movement options. Ellie, being much younger than Joel, has mobility options in combat situations. In typical Last of Us fashion, supplies are scarce, and sometimes you need to make a vital choice between having either a med kit or a Molotov cocktail. Ellie's side of the story is filled with a bunch of unique characters who all have different perspectives on the situation at hand. Characters such as Jesse and Dina really make the world come alive. The world also includes some very well written and well acted flashbacks between Ellie and Joel, which further establish their relationship as a father-daughter style tandem. If the game was strictly Ellie's version of the story, it would be an easy 10 out of 10. However, this is where The Last of Us Part 2 fails to reach expectations. The game introduces a new character by the name of Abby. Abby is a crucial member of the Wolves, and about half of the game you play as her. This detail, which went largely unmentioned by the developer, is a large part of the uproar that has come for this game. All right. So there is that. Sorry, I lost my place. Abby's part of the story is filled with a bunch of hollow characters, most of which you do not care about, including her. Naughty Dog definitely tried their best to make you sympathetic and empathetic with this character. However, it failed to reach the mark. Simply, her story isn't that interesting. The only positives I can take from her section is that it dives more slightly deep into the ongoing war between these two factions that I had mentioned earlier. Though admittedly, by the end, we still do not know enough information for us to care as much as Naughty Dog wanted us to. The Last of Us Part 2 is literally the tale of two games. One section which carries extreme emotional depth with characters you love and want to see ride off into the sunset. The other features a character you really don't want to play as and care very little whether she lives or dies. I would be remiss to talk about The Last of Us without mentioning the Infected. The Infected are back, and they are more terrifying than ever. The classics such as the Runner, Clickers, and Bloaters all make their horrifying return. The game really amps up the anxiety when it comes to dealing with the Infected. Oftentimes, you are alone, extremely outnumbered, and under-equipped to deal with the dangers ahead. The game also introduces new versions of the Infected who are more disturbing, that's real life, than the other ones previously introduced. In this world, you're surrounded by Infected what seems like around every corner. However, the true villain of this game are the human factions. The Scars are particularly brutal on how they dispatch opposition, and the Wolves, who are heavily militarized, are armed to the gills. The violence of this game is so realistic and visceral that long play sections will often leave you depressed and sad. The weight of your actions in this game have profound impact on your actual real-life conscience, and you will begin questioning your own morality. That's real life, too. The major themes is the cyclical nature of violence and revenge. That if you are allowed to let revenge consume your soul, you will be left with nothing. The scale and scope of this game is to be commended by Naughty Dog. It is a visually stunning game and no doubt was intended to be the masterpiece of this generation of gaming. However, in that endeavor, while not a bad game by any means, it has failed to capture my heart like the first one. The Abby portion of the game really leaves the bad taste in your mouth. There should have been a story about Ellie and Ellie alone. The Last of Us Part 2 is just a good game, and that is why it is tremendously disappointing. B+. That's my review. What do we think?
How long has it been since you read that much?
Been a while. But yeah, that's my review of the game. B+. I definitely do not see the 4 out of 10s, the 3 out of 10s, the 2 out of 10s that places like people like Metacritic and stuff like that have posted up about it. But it's definitely, on the flip side of the coin, it is definitely not a perfect game like the IGNs and the GameStops and all that stuff have pretended it is. All right. So I find myself kind of in the middle. I am disappointed with some aspects of the game. I wish they could have done more. I wish they could have dived a little bit more deeply on the situations that we cared about. And, but the stuff that is there, I love, especially all the stuff with Ellie. I think it's all great. And, yeah, man, that's my opinion on it. I wish it could have been better. Not quite as good as the first, but definitely a solid title worthy of the Last of Us name. But, I wonder if they are going to go from here, you know?
Oh yeah, I gotta wait another 7 years for The Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah, I mentioned to you earlier, man. I mean, just like I said, due to the size and scope and the length of the game, the length was tremendously surprising. I could see why it took so long to make. Just how good it looks and how long the story is, because man, I was expecting more along the lines of like 15 to 20. We got more from like 25 to 30 hours of gameplay out of it. And that's a lot. And, it's a lot of stuff in there. But like I said, a large portion of it is you playing as this other character that you really have zero motivation to want to play as. So, I just wish that maybe they would cut that section out, or maybe not make those sections as long, at least like consecutively, because literally the first half is you playing as Ellie. And then halfway over, it switches to you playing exclusively this character. I don't understand why we couldn't bounce back and forth between the two characters, because basically it's the same timeline. So why not bounce back and forth, and, you know, you'd be able to see what the other one's doing from their perspective, you know? So, I wish I could have enjoyed it more than I did. I did have fun. I mean, I live streamed it 5 consecutive days, and, yeah, man, I just wish that there was a little bit more there. Any opinions?
I still think, part of the issue with this game at the moment is that people are comparing it so heavily to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And fine, you know, same series, do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, The Last of Us Part 2, whether you like it or not, is still a better game than like a massive portion of everything that's coming out at the end. You know? Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
it's still something of quality.
Absolutely. And like, I just don't. I think that there's like two very extreme ends of the spectrum in regards to how people receive this game. I know that Neil Druckmann, the director, has been very combative with a lot of the negative, negative press that the game has got. But ultimately, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think I fall somewhere in between. I am disappointed with some aspects of the game, but I'm also tremendously proud of other aspects. Yeah, man. Like I said, there was moments, and you could watch my playback on the live stream. There were moments when I would see things in the game. I'm like, wow, that is fucking beautiful. Like, and people are upset about the ending and whatnot. And I thought the ending was perfectly fine. I don't know. It kind of leaves you kind of depressed. And that was kind of how the ending for the first game was. It kind of left you empty kind of feeling because of the situation that happened. So I don't know, man. I wish it was better. But I mean, with that being said, you know, I'm sure they're going to probably do a 3, some point down the line. There are opportunities that I see in which they can do a 3. And, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about the whole situation when it comes to, The Last of Us Part 2, but it is what it is. All right.
One last thing. Notice all the complaints are about the story, not the gameplay, not the look, not the feel.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Naughty Dog, apparently they're starting to kick around their next project, I'm sure for a lot of those folks over there, the feedback for this game, The Last of Us Part 2, kind of left a sour taste in their mouth. So they said, fuck it, let's work on something else. And the rumor is Uncharted 5. All right. So I thought that they left Nathan Drake's story at a pretty good spot, and I wouldn't add to it. But apparently they're going to be taking on another game with the characters that we love and know, Nathan Drake. And apparently his daughter is going to be a main fixture in this game. And I think that's kind of interesting. So we don't know a whole lot. They just started working on it, or they just started to write up plans for it. But yeah, expect that down the pipeline. And I guess we'll have to wait and see,
Hell yeah.
Then next up is Mixer. So Mixer is basically the competition to Twitch, or was. They were responsible for signing on such large acts such as Ninja and Shroud for a large chunk of change. And I guess this, Microsoft run they have decided that they're just going to cut their losses in this particular situation, going to release Ninja and Shroud from their contracts, and they signed for a tremendous chunk of change. Good for them. And apparently they're going to be merging with Facebook Gaming. Good thing, bad thing? What do you think?
Well, good thing for Ninja and Shroud. I mean, they just essentially got a free couple $1 million, right? Now they can return to their home platform again and just start. I mean, yeah, not from scratch, but you're still going to have a massive following after all that. Good for them. Mixer didn't work out, so I'm kind of curious to see who else will step up to the plate.
Well, from what I understand, I think YouTube Gaming has really kind of stepped up its game when it comes to the whole streaming platform. I haven't really played around with it too much, but apparently they're doing a pretty good job. Facebook Gaming, it's kind of hard to measure success over there, from what I understand. But the thing about Twitch is that that's where everybody is right now, so I guess we'll have to wait and see, like you said, who the next kind of contender will be for this. And yeah, I guess keep moving forward and see what happens.
Good copy.
Alrighty, let's move along.
Music news and reviews. Let's talk Bring Me the Horizon.
All right, let's talk about it. What do you think? What's going on?
So they dropped a single called Parasite Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I quite like it a bit.
Oh yeah, you like it quite a bit?
Yeah, I think I don't want to say it's a full return to roots, but it definitely feels like this sort of style that they're doing should have came right after Sempiternal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you want me to say? It's masterful production. Ollie and Jordan did another banging job. I think this is just more catered to what we wanted out of this band, and that's why we're covering it now.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so like you said, Bring Me the Horizon has caught at least I can speak for myself, has caught a decent amount of flack from me when it comes to a lot of their wholesale changes to their sound. And I was not a fan of it. Anything after Sempiternal I consider quite, I don't want to say low quality because that implies that like they didn't do a good job. But I didn't find it as appealing as anything before that. So with this being said, I turned on this track and I was kind of taken aback a little bit by like the Lion King opening. I thought that was a little strange, but the song actually kicks in and I like it. I think Bring Me the Horizon's doing what the Bring Me the Horizon does best, and that's make a killer chorus. You know what I mean? That's easily to sing along to, not too confusing, and a great pattern, great delivery. Ali gives probably one of his best vocal performances in the last couple of albums on this track. I love the visuals of the video. I thought those were quite cool. And I love how they brought back This Is a War, that line that was from It Never Ends. I just think that's kind of cool. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but apparently they're going to be dropping like 4 smaller.
Yeah, they're like concept EPs or albums, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, all under like one name, I guess. Like it's going to be called, I think it said Post-Human or something like that, it said. So like each separate EP is going to have like its own sound and like, textures and stuff like that, which I think is kind of cool. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. I am tremendously curious on what their plan is next, like what they are going to do as far as the next sound or the next song. But I think it is interesting because you had to know that they probably wrote this song remote from each other, that they probably weren't sitting in the same room doing this, So I found it quite cool, quite interesting actually. Even the video was shot remotely too, like where people were not in the same area when they were doing this video. So I thought it was cool. I think it shows tremendous creativity for them, and for the first time in quite some time, I am not disappointed with the Bring Me the Horizon song. So I guess
on the train.
Yeah,
there you go. There's the episode title.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Bring Me the Horizon coming back into my good graces, and I guess we'll have to wait and see what it looks like moving forward. Alrighty. So Emmure dropped an album. All right, it's called Hindsight, and I listened to it. And I think you and I have both talked about this. How I'm probably the bigger Emmure fan out of the two of us, right? In particular, the last couple of things that they've done. Because anything prior to I want to say 2015 was all breakdown music, and whether you like it or not, I didn't like it too much, but I did like the last album, Look at Yourself, quite a bit. So I'm like, okay, well, let's give this a look. Let's give this a spin. So I gave it a spin the other night, probably about a week ago at this point. And, I don't know exactly what they were going for. A lot of the songs, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's music. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like it's just him saying things really low with a creepy voice, and then really loud, kind of violent guitar riffs kind of stacked on top of it. And some songs
he said, cool. I'm not sure if it's music. Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, I don't know. It doesn't feel creative to me. And I don't know what's going on with the dude, the vocalist from Emmure. I forget his name. Frankie, I think it is. I don't know what's going on in his head, but there is a track where he calls out multiple bands, and from Attila to Straight from the Path to Fit for a King and all that, and it's basically he was saying he was better than all of them, and I'm like, I don't think you've ever been better than Fit for a King ever in your whole entire career. And I like them now, or I try to, and to me it's just really confusing, man. It's a 13-song album that's 30 minutes long. You know how I feel about that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's let me make sure that I'm not just
2 and 15.
2
minutes 15 seconds apiece.
I'm not. Maybe let me just make sure that I'm not just shitting on them for no reason. Yeah, 13 songs, 31 minutes, 30 minutes long, and apparently the theming of the album is the music industry and whatnot. And I don't know, man. It's very confusing. It's very confusing noise to me. Right. So, I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it. I mean,
oh, that's hilarious. Episode 159. Jake falls back in love with Bring Me the Horizon and then ends up hating Emmure. We did a total reversal of last year's fucking big moves.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's just the songs that are on there are songs that rip, but they're really short. So you can't really get too excited.
Can't even warm up to them.
Yeah, you can't really even get excited about them, because by the time you're oh wow, this is interesting, the song ends. So I don't know. I'm gonna give it. I don't want to give you too harsh. I'm gonna give them a D for this, because it just doesn't feel like a complete work. It feels like every song. It feels like halfway through, the producer's okay, that song's done. Let's move on to the next one. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what they need in their live, Gabe?
Jesus?
No. They need a Will Putney in their life. That's what they need to kind of bring this shit back around and correct course, because I'm not exactly sure what Hindsight by Emmure.
I'm going to stick by that Jesus comment.
was trying to accomplish here. I think they definitely missed the mark, and I am a little bewildered by it. I'm not going to lie.
Good copy, sir.
I wanted to like it too. So there's that. One of the shortest music sections ever. I feel like we had more, and I feel like a lot of it disappeared. I don't know what's going on with that.
I feel like we've been consuming and then not writing it down,
That's probably more likely the case. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that I intended to write down, but I didn't. The Counterparts came out with a new track?
2 new tracks, B-sides. They're absolutely phenomenal. Love them both.
I was just listening to them before we went live on the pod. But yeah, I like them quite a bit too. Who else got some? Well, Year of the Knife. We'll talk about that. Year of the Knife got a couple singles out, and I don't know if you listen to them, but it's like borderline death metal. Like it's straight up like almost 90s death metal, but like in a good way. I don't know what they were planning on doing, but I kind of like it.
Hell yeah. Band called Necrogoblicon released the cover of Chop Suey, so there's that.
How was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. All right. And, yeah, man, you got anything else to add, Gabe?
Dude, I think this might be it. We gotta do a little bit better with this music section. We gotta get around to the Ghost Inside album.
Is it out?
Yeah, it's been out for like a month.
It is not. You're a liar.
Like 3 weeks.
Okay. So that explains that. Yeah, we have to get to that. Maybe we'll do that. Put that on the agenda for next week for sure. And we will go ahead and cover that. But yeah, man, that was relatively short. I don't know. But it is what it is. Thank you guys for joining us this week on the Second City Kids podcast. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut the what's it called? The iTunes version of the podcast. That will be cutting right in a second. But thank you guys for joining us. Twitter is, you guys get the whole deal. We're all out and about and whatnot. So please come and check us out. We have tons of episodes at this point, and I think they're mostly funny. So please check us out then. Until next time, for my iTunes folks, deuces.